They're all gonna fall. Oh my god. I didn't do this right. Okay. Oh my god. I need to move them. I'm literally sweating. Armpits are perspirating from that. Okay, we're all set. Let me get this up. I'm like also just really hot in here. I don't know what's happening. So I had this idea and I was trying to come up with fun things to do. I feel like there's only so many reading vlogs I can do because in order to do the reading vlogs, you have to just be constantly reading. So if you don't know, I started reading like January of 2022. That was like the first time I ever read for pleasure. So there's a lot of books in 2022 that I've never talked about because I obviously just started this whole channel like 6 months ago. So my idea is to go through my books that I read in 2022 and see if I can remember the plots. That is literally all I'm doing. Is I'm gonna try and say the summary of these books to the best of my ability. Y'all know what it's like. You read a book, and you think about it months later and you're like, I literally don't know what that book was about. So it will also be kind of fun to see like how my taste has changed because there's a lot of books on here. A lot of old books. And you can't yell at me for the books that I'm reading, the Colleen Hoover books, because this is from 2 years ago. I don't want to hear anything. I really don't. All right. So I'm gonna go in order, just month by month, to try and like do the furthest ones away first. Some of them I got. Fandango. I just opened up Fandango. I didn't even know you could do Fandango. Some of these I've got packed down. There's a couple that are still my favorite books to this day. So like obviously I'm gonna remember those. Some of them, as I was pulling out from the depths of the hell that is my bookshelf, I don't even remember buying them. So let's start off. The beginning's gonna have a lot of Colleen Hoover, just bear with me. Very first book ever, Verity. I've got this one down. Instantly freezes. I actually just got my mom to start reading this book, so I thought she was gonna like it. But, alright, a girl, I don't even remember her profession. I mean, I know she's a writer, but I don't remember like how this goes into it. But a girl gets hired to finish a series by a husband of the author. Okay, the author, big time author, has a bunch of books, very, very well known, famous. Goes into a coma or something, has an accident, cannot move her body. And husband hires this girl to finish the books for her. She moves into her home basically. And it's actually really creepy. And she ends up finding a manuscript from Verity, the author. And she can't tell if it's real or not. And it sounds real because it sounds like it's written of their real life and about their kids and everything. And turns out Verity's really scary, and she thinks she actually can move because she sees her at times that she's not supposed to. And it's actually very creepy. I remember being creeped out in the middle of the night when I was reading this. But yeah, so I've got that one down pat. Next, It Ends With Us. Obviously, I feel like everyone knows this one. This girl is dating this guy, very hot doctor, but he's low-key, not low-key, very high-key abusive, and just abuses the hell out of her. And her old high school bestie, I think, runs into her and is like, knows what's up, like he can tell, and they were like low-key in love, but they never were together, I think. There's also notes to Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know how that comes in, but I feel like it's just her diary entries. And then the good guy gets her to break up with him, I think, and then they live happily ever after, and I know she gets pregnant. Because I'm pretty sure the name has something to do with Nemo. Yes, I don't know. Got it. The Patient. I don't know what made me read this book. I know I didn't like it. It was kind of scary at first, like it was the whole psych ward. A doctor tried to go talk to one of the patients because every time someone talked to this one certain patient, they ended up killing themselves. So he was like, I've got it. Let me go talk to him. And it literally turns out to be a monster. Like I remember I couldn't even picture the writing because I remember them saying something like the patient backed into a corner and then grew like 50 feet and it was a monster. And I was like, okay, never mind then. Silent Patient. Oh, very similar. A woman is accused of murdering her husband and hasn't spoken a word since. This doctor comes in and tries to talk to her and kind of gets words out. And then we find out, Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it. And then we find out there's like really weird secrets that involve the doctor and the patient, and it's very trippy. That's basically all I remember. I do remember the ending. I remember the big ending. So like that's better than most books that I can say. Ugly Love. I hate this because this used to be one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books, and I have a hard time remembering. Okay. I don't even remember. I could not tell you the beginning of this book at all. Guy and a girl, Miles and Tate. Period. Miles and Tate are dating, and he like, yes, he refuses to say that they can be friends or like they can't date, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know how they get there, but they end up dating. He like, I don't know. He's really messed up in the head. I think he's a pilot or something. He's gone a lot. Oh, he lives across the apartment because she's staying at her brother's place. Okay, I'm getting somewhere. They end up having feelings for each other, but he's like, I'm too traumatized to do this. And the whole time you're like, literally grow a pair. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, get a grip. And then we find out that he actually was in a past relationship that had a very big thing happen and a very hard death happen. Very valid. His feelings were very valid for like being scared to get into another relationship. And I remember he calls her by the wrong name when they're having sexy time. And I cried. But yeah. I don't remember the ending though, at all. Reminders of Him. I've literally blocked this one out of my brain because I don't like it and I don't like reading about car wrecks, having been in one. All I remember is that she's a mom. Yes. Okay. I'm trying not to read the backs of the book, but the word young mother jumped out at me, so it got me. She, I think, went to jail? Yes. Okay, I'm not gonna look anymore. She went to jail for this accident that happened, and she has a kid, and she's coming back because she wants custody of her kid. The person that she accidentally killed in this accident, his parents are keeping the kid. And they're like, literally, screw her. Like, she killed our son. You're not having this kid. She's like trying to stay, like, keep it low key. Like, not hide, but like hide. Because they know everyone hates her because of this. She runs into guy she killed, his best friend, and they like spark a relationship up. Like he wants to hate her, but then like the more he gets to know her, ends up developing feelings and just try to get the kid back. Basically is the whole thing. Whoa. All right. Rival. Nothing in the brain. I'm actually reading this is the third one because I picked up a third in a series unknowingly. I'm actually reading the first one or the second one right now for a different video, but anyways. Rival. They're step siblings. That's what that is. I remember eating it up at the time. They were step siblings, I believe. And they like lived in the same house. Not yet though. In the beginning, it's like a bully romance and he like bullies the fuck out of her. And then they find out they're step siblings. I don't remember where the feelings come in, but they do at some point have feelings for each other. And then they end up literally living in the same house and they're like, this is not gonna go well. Like we're literally gonna have sex with each other. And they did. These books are gonna go absolutely everywhere. Bully. I realized there was a first one, so I picked this up. This just has to do with their friends, and it's another bully romance, and all I remember is that he was really mean to her. Ew, him on the cover is fugly. Literally, where's his chin, please? Why would they pick him to be on the cover? I remember she was a runner, and he was mean to her, and there was some scene, like, racing cars, and they had sex. That's all I got. Cabin at the End of the World. I remember this because 1, I didn't love it, and 2, they made a movie out of it. So with Ron Weasley and Drax and Jesse St. James. God, I almost forgot Jesse. Okay, gay couple has adopted a little Asian girl, literally adorable. Love the family. They're adorbs. They're at a mountain. Nope, they're at a cabin, like at a lake. And these really scary people, it's like Giving the Strangers, where like these murder people just show up at their house, and they're like, you have to kill someone, you have to pick someone to die, or the whole world's gonna end. And they fully believe that. Like, they're not playing a prank, they fully believe it, and the family's like, literally, what are you talking about? Like, literally, please leave. We're just trying to catch grasshoppers with a little girl. And I'm all for it. I'm all down for it because they actually do end up killing people. Because the group that came, there's the family and the group that came. And the group that came said, if we don't pick every hour, one of us has to die. And so they're like, no thanks, bye though. And they said, no, literally it's not an option. So the hour mark hit and they killed one of them right in front. And so they're like, we're not messing around, okay? We're not messing around. And then they turn on the TV and it's like planes are falling from the sky. Like, it's very weird. But then the book ends up in the air and you don't know what happens. So I hate those kind of books. I don't have that in me. I was so pissed. But anyways, still like a decent book. Okay, people we meet on vacation, 2 besties in college, Poppy and something, stopped being friends. They, I think, went on a summer trip every year together, and they didn't talk for like 10 years. Is that dramatic? I don't know, 10 or 2. I saw the word 2. However many years goes by, and I think one of them reaches back out and is like, maybe we should go on a trip again type of vibe. And so they do, and it's like kind of awkward at first, but then they like ease up and then they flirty. It's actually kind of a funny book, not gonna lie. And then we find out the reason they aren't friends anymore is because they like kissed each other. It was just like, kind of stupid. I don't know how it ends. I'm sure they get together. Like, of course they do. A Walk to Remember, favorite movie and book ever. Obviously, I remember what happens. I feel like if you don't know what happens, I don't really want to spoil it because it's a book you absolutely should read. This is one of my favorite characters ever, Landon, and I'm going to name my kid after him for sure. He's like bad boy, doesn't care, gets bad grades. She's sweet little Christian girl, wears cardigans to school. He gets in trouble with his friends because, you know, they're the rebel group. He's forced to go and work in a play, like at the school, be in the school play, and he gets the lead because they're like, we're doing it to you, and she's the other lead, so they have to like run lines together and stuff, and he like, you know, falls in love with her, of course. And then there's a twist that makes you really upset. And if you don't know it by now, what are you doing? The Notebook, I also know this because obviously another one of my favorite movies. I like feel silly explaining what The Notebook is about because everyone should know. These two lovely people are in love. She's high class, he's low class. Not allowed to be together. They love each other anyway. It's literally giving, but daddy, I love him. That's about it. The story is told from like two old people's perspective, and it's this old man reading diary entries of this story to her, and you find out that she's the girl and she just has dementia, so he reads their love story to her every day. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's like, yes, I know what happens, but like there's so many parts in this book, so I don't remember them all. She's an old lady now, and she's telling her story of her 7 husbands, and I know that there's like a little twisty in there of who the love of her life is. You don't really see it coming, and they move around a lot. They go place to place. She moves a lot. It made me want to move around. That's about all I got. Without like spoiling something, that's all I got. 5 Feet Apart, another movie that obviously I know they have CF and they can't be together, but they love each other anyway. So despite them having to stay 5 feet apart, they want to be together. And it's Cole Sprouse and Haley Lou Richardson. Amazing. Very sad end. Next, Heartbones, actually still to this day, one of my favorite books, like especially of Colleen Hoover, but Bea has to go stay with her dad because her mom dies in like the first chapter, and she's like a crack addict. They divorced like a long time ago, so she goes and stays with her rich dad, new family, and meets Samson at this beach house. And they fall in love. There's some secrets, and it's just really cute. And I'm actually obsessed with this book, so thank you. Beach read, another Emily Henry. Smells weird. 2 writers who were like college rivals, I guess you could say, strike up a friendship because they're staying next door to each other, and they're both having writer's block, I think. And so they were like, let's write from each other's genres, because she does romance and he does something else. And then they, of course, like fall in love and want to date and stuff. Then Without Merit, all I remember is not really liking this that much. The perspective of like a 15 to 17-year-old girl, something like that. And it was just a bunch of family secrets. I couldn't tell you a single damn secret. Not a single one. All I know is her name is Merit. And I think she was suicidal, maybe. I literally don't know. Couldn't tell you. Ooh, the deal. All right, I'm going to go through the off-campus series pretty quickly. Garrett and Hannah, fake dating. Football player, she wants to be a singer, and he helps her through sexual trauma, and it's literally the cutest thing ever, and I'm obsessed with them. They're my favorite in all of Elle Kennedy's stories. The Mistake is one of Garrett's teammates meets this girl who like doesn't want anything to do with him, and then of course he convinces her to be with him. Logan and Grace, I believe. Oh, John Logan, but yeah, they call him Logan and Grace, period. Okay, that's all I remember. Oh no, she says if you do these things, I'll be with you, and it's like these really elaborate things, like a list that he has to do, and he does all of them, and it's really cute. The score, this is a Smexier one. It is what's his name? Allie and Dean, and she is Hannah's roommate, and Dean is one of Garrett's roommates, and they are both like flirty, like outwardly flirty with each other, and then they end up like there's a lot of sexual tension, and then they end up doing it, and they're both like really hot, and of course they get together. The Goal, my least favorite one, pregnancy trope, Tucker, the like southern roommate, and then a random bar hookup that he accidentally gets pregnant, and then she's like a huge bitch, like a lawyer type, and then they end up making making it work. I don't know. Didn't like that one. The Legacy, it's all 4 of them and it's all their stories and it's actually really cute. I don't remember the stories at all. All Your Perfects. This was a big month. All I remember is that it is a couple, a married couple, Quinn and something, and that they are like on the verge of divorce. It was like really depressing. They're on the verge. I'm literally sitting here sobbing, crying at TikTok. It's like every TikTok, every single video has me crying. And it's like videos that aren't necessarily even sad. They're edits to fictional characters to all of Taylor's new songs. Every single one of them makes me cry. All of them. There are so many Marvel ones. There's so many Harry Potter ones. I can't do it anymore. The most recent one, these current tears, are from a hockey game where during, like, in between one of the plays or something, like the players weren't on the ice, they played You Belong to Me, and the crowd is singing it, of course. And then the song cut out and the game resumes. All the players in the middle of a play and the entire crowd is singing the rest of the song while the game is going on. I can't handle that. I'm getting emotional again. And I don't know why. Things like that make me unstable. Can we actually take a second to talk about the album? What is happening to me? The entire album, no skips. This will be quick. This is, if you're bored with the books, this is a quick reprieve. Fortnite, obviously amazing. Also, I love finding out who everyone thinks they're about. Like Fortnite, I keep hearing is about Maddie, and I'm a huge Maddie girl. So anything about Maddie, even if it's bad, I'm like, that's my man. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. My boy. Literally so good. So Long London. Oh, I'm going out of order. I just realized that. Back it up. Number 2. The Torture Poets Department. I like it more than like I expected. It's just, you know, it is what it is. Down Bad. Literally. Choke me. So Long London made me cry, but Daddy I Love Him makes me want to run down the street ripping my clothes off. There's something in that song that it is just like, oh my god, the way she is singing that song. It literally makes me feral. Like I literally want to scream running down the street. Naked. Fresh Out the Slammer. Fun, good, love it. Florida. Florida's not one of my like absolute diehard favorites, but I do love the Florida. Oh, Guilty as Sin. I'm so obsessed with that song. The line when she says, I choose you and me religiously, and then it's like quiet, and then it's, what if he's written mine on my upper thigh? The way she says, upper thigh, oh my god, only in my mind. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good, I can't handle it. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? Screaming down the street. Screaming. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Love. Eat it up. Every time. I'm depressed, I act like it's my birthday every day. That's not the correct lyric, I know. That's not how it goes, but I've been so obsessed with some of the other ones that I haven't been able to give my full attention to every single song yet, because there's quite a lot. The Black Dog. Obsessed. Okay, so clearly, very clearly, next day, this one almost did me in. This one almost made me jump out my second story window because it was, once again, my phone just stopped recording. It didn't die, and it's not like I forgot to press record. It just randomly stopped recording. So now I put a mirror. There's a little mirror behind so I can see if it's recording or not. This is the second time in this one video. I think that's God's way of telling me that this is a shitty video. Well, guess what? I'm finishing it. I'm doing it anyways because I've put too much time into it now. We're taking deep breaths. We're drinking our coffee. I've already had my Alani. We went to Orange Theory. It's gonna be a good day. Oh, I forgot. It's actually not a good day. It's a bad day, actually. So I had a nail in my tire this morning. No big deal. It wasn't a big deal. Just drove over to my little guy that I go to for my car, and we're talking, we're hanging out. I go sit down for a little bit, he fixes my car. I come back, he said, I've got good news and bad news. I was like, that's never good. I don't even care what the good news is. I don't even want to hear it, because the bad news is probably detrimental to my mental health right now. I cannot do it. Please don't say it. And guess what? He said it. He said the T word. He said transmission, and I blacked out. I literally, I'm not even kidding, I think I blacked out and had a seizure on his floor. He said, good news is, your tire's fine, blah, 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 sure. I don't even care anymore. He said my transmission had a problem. If you don't know anything about cars, that is potentially the most expensive part of your car. So like, at this point, if there's a problem with my transmission, I'm just gonna have to get a new car. Because we can't just afford a new transmission. That's like upwards of $1,000. It's just not the time. It's just not the time. But then, you know what I did? I got in my little car with its little transmission problem, and I listened to Taylor Swift the whole way home. I know I've already talked about it. Literally already talked about it. It was what cut me off in the last video. I feel like I'm a new person now after this album has come out. Top 3. Now after another day of listening to it, I might have different thoughts. I don't even remember what I said yesterday. That was old Kendall. This is new Kendall. Top 3. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? Literally, start to finish, iconic. Guilty as Sin. Literally stop. Literally stop. I literally want to get mine, a little tattoo of mine on my upper thigh in little typewriter font. I'm going to. Obsessed with the song, cannot stop listening to it. Number 3, what was it? It's gotta be But Daddy, I Love Him. I know I'm forgetting some. Also, I can't get off TikTok because of everyone decoding the songs for me. Do you know how many songs are about Maddie Healy? Literally obsessed in an unhealthy way. And now finding out that like half the album is about him, throwing up. Literally throwing up on my floor. It's a great day. I mean, like, the songs aren't good necessarily, like they're not, you know, but you get it. It's a great day to be a Maddie girl. Guilty as Sin about Maddie. Shut up. Unreal. Anyways, we're done. I'm done talking about Taylor. I could talk about it literally for hours. I'm gonna pop back over, rewind to yesterday, pop back over to the books that I already talked about. But we're gonna pretend I didn't, because y'all don't know that. Just like pretend that I took a nap and woke up and now we're talking about the books again. We got about halfway through, which wasn't bad. And I feel better about a lot of these books because I feel like a lot of my favorites are in here and they're more recent. But there are actually a lot of thrillers in here. I get into my thriller era, you know how those go. We left off on, I believe, November 9. We only have a couple more, Colleen, don't worry. I think there's like maybe 3 more. November 9, I got this one. This girl was in a fire. She used to be a model or actor and was in a fire and like burned half her face. And then we somehow jumped to this boy that she agrees to meet up with once a year, November 9th. And it's like, obviously they like each other, but I don't remember what the reasoning was, why they don't talk during the year, but they only talk on that one day. And then one year he shows up and has some very upsetting news. It hurts you hard. But then apparently I don't know this one as well as I thought, which is upsetting because this used to be one of my favorite Colleen books. But that, I think, is all I got. I remember the twist at the end, like why he's important. It's actually very good, and it gives Taylor Swift Right Where You Left Me, like literally Help, I'm Still at the Restaurant. That's what it's giving. That's it. And then Confess, oh my god, all I've got on this, literally all I've got in my brain is there was an art exhibit. Someone owns an art exhibit where people can write their confessions on pieces of paper and slide them through a little door. And that's all I've got. Layla, oh, I had 3, this is my last Colleen. A man and his wife, I believe, go through a traumatic event, like some sort of like assault, stabbing maybe. And the wife is never okay again. Like she has severe anxiety, same girl, and she is like a shell of a human, kind of like they're not in the same relationship as they used to be. And I think like in his house, someone's house, they're together in their house, and like a ghost starts appearing and trying to talk to him, and he like falls in love with this ghost. And then there is a big twist at the end that got me. Some people said they saw it coming. I couldn't have even thought to like imagine the twist at the end of this book. At the time, I didn't love this book, but I think if I had read it now, I would actually enjoy it way more than I did at the time. Bridgerton, obviously the shows are out, so like people know the plots of these. And both of the books are like slightly different than the shows, so I'm trying to differentiate the books. But what I can remember is just mega miscommunication trope. They're both into each other, but they get caught kissing, I think, by her brother Anthony. So they're forced to marry. And so both of them think the other one doesn't want to get married because they're forced into it. And it takes them having like one night of sex for them to like say their feelings to each other. It's just miscommunication. Okay, and then the Viscount Who Loved Me, I'm like not that comfy right now, I'm not gonna lie. What if I just did the video from down here? The Viscount Who Loved Me. Anthony gets caught sucking bee venom out of Kate's bosom, and Lady Danbury sees them, so they have to get married. That's basically it. Different from the show. Ugh! Oh, my first Kindle book ever, actually, was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. And what I remember is, I think she's dating this boy, and he's like a piece of shit. So she starts hooking up with his dad, I think. It's obviously a mega age gap. I think she like has to move in with the shitty boyfriend for some reason. And so they start like seeing each other behind each other's back. Or behind the boyfriend's back. I think. It's just, she starts dating his dad. And it's kind of hot. And there's like one hot scene. The only sex scene I can remember is they have like FaceTime sex. And I'm pretty sure she uses the desk to get off. I think. Love in Other Words, one of my favorite books ever. Macy and Elliot, they grew up together. Her mom is dead, so her dad is like trying to give her the best life possible. And they have this weekend home that they go to, or like summer home they go to, where she meets Elliot like as a kid, like a little teeny tiny kid. And so they're besties, they grow up, they're having these hormones as they grow up, they like each other, blah blah blah. She wants to go back on the weekends, see him all the time, blah blah blah. They start dating. Like in college, I don't think they go, I don't remember exactly, honestly. He does something really bad, that chain effect, what is that term? I don't know, but there's a chain effect where something even worse happens, so she doesn't talk to him. It's a dual POV of like now and them growing up. They haven't talked in 10 years, and then like they, you know, rekindle. Ooh, love this idea. Maybe in another life. It's dual POV of her at a bar, and then it's one POV is what would have happened with her life if she had left with her ex-boyfriend, and the other one is if she had left with her best friends and didn't go home with the ex-boyfriend. And so it's very cool, like, to see the route that both of her lives would have taken, and it doesn't go like how you think it's gonna go. But then, like, I think her life ends up being very similar regardless, so it gets very repetitive at the end. But still good. Punk 57, all I've got on this book is they were pen pals, and then he goes to her school, I think, after, like, he transfers to her school, and they're, like, kind of mean to each other. That's literally all I've got. And then I get into The Summer I Turned Pretty. I am fully aware the show is out, so, like, you know the plot of the show, where Belly spends the summer with her friends, Connor? His name's Conrad, not Connor, and Jeremiah, and her brother, and blah, blah, blah. So she loves Conrad. I almost said Connor again. She loves Conrad since she was like 4 years old, but he was always like I'm too cool, like I don't like you. And the entire series is her going back and forth between Conrad and Jeremiah. I couldn't tell you at all what happened in the last book. I don't even remember who she picked. I'm assuming it's Conrad, but I literally don't know. Never finished the show. I liked them. They just were like, I'm pretty sure Conrad like goes missing in this one at college or something, and they have to find him. I don't know. It's very dramatic, but that's all I got. Oh, I skipped one. I read Once Your Loves, which I don't have the book anymore because I gave it away. Another one of my favorite books. I've got this one for sure. This girl marries her high school sweetheart, and they're like big adventure people, and he goes on this helicopter ride that crashes, and he never comes back. And so she's grieving her dead husband, getting through all of that. She moves back home with her family. She rekindles like her friendship with the guy that she used to work with in high school at the bookstore that her parents own, and they end up like, he's always been in love with her, and so they end up being in a relationship. He helps her through the grief, and then bam, one day the husband comes back and has spent the past 2 years living on this island trying to get back to her, and he succeeds, and she's engaged to another man. Talk about gut-wrenching. I cried majority of that book. It was good though, so good. Then I read 2 of the books I couldn't tell you a single damn thing on. It Happened One Summer, Hook, Line, and Sinker. All I know is that this was based off Alexis Rose in Schitt's Creek. She's like rich, pretty, hot girl, has to go live in this fisherman's town because I think she's like a party girl fuck up, I think. And she falls for the grumpy fisherman, like classic. That's all I remember. And then this is her sister. I don't know why she comes, but she also falls in love with someone named Fox. The back says, now Hannah's in town. One, I didn't remember her name. Hannah's in town for work, crashing in Fox's spare bedroom. I've never read that book before. In no world did I read that, because I don't remember that at all. Coffee, pause. I'm trying to literally fly through these. Alright, and then I read the Twisted series. Well, I didn't finish it, and I don't have Twisted Games. Twisted Love, best friend's brother. He lives across the street, or like next door, and is like taking care of the sister, I think, for some reason. And he's all, I don't date, we're not gonna date, I don't do that, like, you know, I'm the typical man. And she somehow ends up getting him to date her, like, pretty quickly. I remember being like, that was easy. And that's all I got. I think there's a scene at the end with like guns, and I was like kind of shocked. That might be in the next one. That makes sense for it to be the next one, but I truly don't remember. I remember someone being in camo. I don't know. And then Twisted Games, which was this girl's roommate, I believe. She comes from royalty, but she's not. She's like second in the line for the throne. So she randomly one day is watching this press conference of her family, and the brother's like, I'm stepping out to go marry a nobody. So have fun, little sis. You're now princess of wherever the frick we are. And so she is now a princess, and needs like a bodyguard and everything, because she was just living a normal life in college in America. So now she's princess, and her bodyguard's like this really hot guy that they develop feelings, and it's forbidden. It's super hot, it's super fun, and I love it. Twisted Hate is this girl's brother. He and this redhead is all I remember. Jules, she's a redhead. I'm assuming she was like a roommate or something. I don't remember. They are rivals. They hate each other. They always are bickering, and it turns into hot bicker sex. That's it. We're all the way in August, so we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. Archer's voice. Archer is a man who's mute, hence Archer's voice. He's mute, and he's like the town outcast, and the girl moves into this town for some unknown reason, and she runs into him like at the grocery store, and he doesn't speak to her for very obvious reasons, and she's like, oh, that was rude, but he's really hot. So she finds out he's mute, but she knows sign language. That's important. I don't know why she knows it, but she knows it. And she's the only one in the town that can like get through to him. And they like spark up a friendship that sparks into a relationship. And it's like very innocent because he's like innocent and not mean. Saying this out loud, it sounds very cliche that she's the only one who can talk sign language, but I actually enjoyed it. In the very end, I thought someone was gonna themselves, but they didn't, and I was crying really hard. Okay, The Roommate. All I've got. I didn't like this book. I know that. This looks like Jacob Elordi, and this looks like Zoe Dutch, or Deutsch, however you say it. But basically, he's a porn star, and she, for some reason, moves in with him. I don't know why. It's like an accident. And she's like uncomfortable around sex talk and stuff like that. I remember one scene very vividly of them becoming friends, and him helping her have an O, in like a friend way. I just didn't like the book. Every Summer After, similar to Love in Other Words and Summer I Turned Pretty if they had a baby, but like a less attractive baby because it wasn't as good. I honestly don't remember the plot other than it's similar to those books. Like I don't know. I know they start dating, and I think it goes away to some like nerd camp, like some camp for school, like an engineer camp type thing. And she gets a call from him while they're already having problems, I think. And it's a girl on the phone, and they're like all very drunk and like at a party. And let me tell you, I would have seen red if that had been me. I was reading this at work. I read this when I worked at the beach, and I was working in a little ice cream hut, and I was crying from this book, and a little kid knocked on the window and asked if he could get ice cream, and I was like, I guess. And I had to go get him his chocolate with sprinkles. I was like, take your goddamn ice cream and get out of my face. But yeah. Then I got into the not as good Briar U series, the second to the off-campus series. So in no world not as good. The Chase, a girl, she's a sister of someone in the off-campus series, I know that. She's like portrayed as the crazy, too loud white girl, like she's just too much to handle. Like, I'm pretty sure the guy calls her a bitch at one point, but they fall in love. Like, it's just not the vibe. The Risk, I actually did like this one. I'm not gonna lie. I put it as like a 5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. It's the hockey coach's daughter is enemies to lovers with the rival team's hockey star. Very good. Like, their banter, once they become dating, they have to date in secret, and it's so hot. I adored this book. And then The Play, absolutely no fucking clue what this book is about. I don't, in my head, she's a dancer. That's my vibe that I'm getting. She's some sort of a dancer dating a hockey player. I don't know if that's true. The Dare, I remember hating this book purely because Elle Kennedy like described her as like this curvy, voluptuous, has huge boobs, like this not super skinny girl. And the girl on the cover, super skinny. I can see her collarbones. That's not a curvy, voluptuous queen, okay? That is a skinny bitch on this cover. Which, like, it's fine. If you want a skinny bitch, get a skinny bitch in your thing. But don't call her curvy, voluptuous, you know. And, like, she's insecure the whole book about her weight. And then the whole time I'm thinking, it's this skinny bitch on this cover. and I can't handle it. And like the reason she broke up with the boyfriend at one point is because her boobs got leaked online, and she was like, he shouldn't have to deal with that. And I was like, girl, literally get a fucking grip. I cannot handle it. And instead of just like breaking up with him and telling him the reason, she was like really mean to him because she didn't want to tell him the real reason. So it was like miscommunication on top of miscommunication. He was also a dick. So I do remember this one. Okay, well, I found the culprit of who keeps turning my videos off. I have no storage, so that makes complete sense. I am unwell, but anyways, we power on. This video will get done one way or another. I caught this one pretty quickly. So I only missed a little bit where I was talking about Briar U, which I have now talked about 3 times. I'm not going to keep talking about Briar U. The dare was what I left off on. Okay, anyways, I get into Riley Sager. So I have The House Across the Lake. I actually loved this entire book. And as I'm saying that, I do realize I don't remember all the details. So there's a lake with a house, and there's a house on the other side, and the bitch that lives in this house can see into the windows of the one across the lake, and I think she sees like a husband beating up his wife, and then the husband is all of a sudden missing. So she's like, what's that about? I think. Could be wrong on that. And so she like sparked up a friendship with the woman that lives in the house that was getting her ass beat. That feels insensitive. I apologize. She starts becoming friends with a woman that she thinks killed her husband because he was abusive. And then there are like a bunch of weird things happening, and she also can't trust herself because she's an alcoholic. So she's like, did I actually say that, or did I make that up when I was literally passed out, blackout drunk? And then it, like, the entire thing is great until the very end, and then someone is a ghost, and you're like, why are we speaking to a ghost right now? Lock every door. I don't know a single damn thing about this book. I read this in one sitting. I think that's my problem, is the books that I read in one sitting leave my brain as soon as I'm done. All I know is that she stays at a hotel and really weird things happen, and you think that it's like haunted, but then it turns out to be a cult, but it's like celebrity cult. It's like all these celebrities form a cult, and it's like, I'm sure real celebrities do anyway, like in this world, so it just wasn't my thing. Local woman missing. These are hard to remember because there's so many different POVs happening, but a woman goes missing when she goes on a run. She's also cheating on her husband, fun fact. That's like, she's like going to run to meet the guy, and she gets kidnapped. And then very soon after, a little girl who went missing like a while ago comes back and is like, hey, I'm back. And it's very cool. I actually really like it, and I do remember the end. I remember who's behind it. I'm not gonna say it, obviously. Pretty girls, 2 sisters. The 3rd sister was murdered, and then these 2 sisters don't really get along because of the husband of the 2nd sister. The 1st sister's husband just was murdered in an alley in front of her. Like, they were just, oh, my hand started to cramp. Okay, I'll do this instead. 1st, 3rd, and 2nd sister. Murdered, has a shitty husband. Husband was just murdered. The wake is literally going on downstairs, and she's upstairs on his computer just like going through some of his old work stuff, and literally comes across this really graphic and disgusting snuff porn. Like, this girl gets her head chopped off in a porno type of thing, and she's like, is this real? Like, why, 1, is it real, and 2, why is it on my husband's computer? It's just like a very weird, you never know who to trust type of story. It's very graphic at the end, and I don't remember the ending, so. Tenders the flesh. Basically, the world turns to cannibalism because animal meat is now poison, basically. And this one guy who's in charge of buying humans has to go through this factory where they breed humans and like raise them for slaughter. So he's just going through and bringing us through the process of watching these humans being slaughtered. There's like sick people. I don't know why, but he takes one of them home and like falls in love with her and gets her pregnant, and it's like very weird. I read Harry Potter. I feel like I don't really need to tell you the plot of Harry Potter, but if you haven't read it, this orphan boy grows up with his aunt and uncle who are really shitty and like literally the worst people on earth and treat him like a slave. And then he turns 11 and big boy Hagrid comes and is like, you're a wizard, Harry, and brings him to Hogwarts, and he's living his best life, and then all of a sudden he's going to die from Voldy, literal devil on earth, came back, and then he has to save the world as an 11-year-old boy. Number 2, year 2 at Hogwarts, we're all back and happy. Voldemort's gone. And then all of a sudden, the Chamber of Secrets is open and all these weird things keep happening and people are getting petrified by this massive beast basilisk who is slithering through the pipes of the school, and it's up to him to save everyone again at 12 years old. And he does. We're so close, guys. Magnolia Parks, I actually reread this year, so I do know the plot of this book. Magnolia and BJ have literally always been together since they were like 8 years old or something. One day he comes home crying, saying that he cheated on her and he's so sorry, blah, blah, blah. You know, the typical, I cheated on you and I'm gonna cry, basically. So she breaks up with him. They also like kind of never break up. Like they still spend 100% of their time with each other, but they're really toxic. And since they're not together, he continues to sleep around. He starts doing drugs. She can't trust him. So she refuses to get back together with him because he literally will not stop sleeping around. At the very end, like they decide to work through their stuff and get back together. And then she finds out who he originally cheated on her with. And it's like, death to the heart, we're done for good. Womb, this book is so fucked up. And all I remember, this is gonna be a jump scare. It's this weird old man he's staying in this little motel and he hires a hooker, basically, but not to have sex with. He just wants to tell her his life stories and they're fucked up. And the only one I remember is at the very end. He thinks he needs to be reborn to like be normal or something, I guess, to like cleanse himself. And so he drugs her and shoves his head up her vag, like literally up her scrutiny, tries to get himself reborn. She wakes up, he's in her scrutiny, like fully his head is inside of her cooter, and she has to like get him out. Yeah, it's gross. Survive the night. Very cool concept. Ooh, you're getting the better version because yesterday it took me a minute. I had to walk myself through the process of remembering this book. She is at college and needs a ride home and puts up on like one of the bulletin boards like needs a ride home for Christmas break or something. And this guy offers to bring her because they're going in the same direction. So she's like, okay, sure, let me get in the car with this stranger. When their campus has a literal serial killer running amok. He is not caught. Running amok. No one knows what he looks like. Anything. She's getting this ride home from this stranger. About halfway through, she's like, I'm not safe. I shouldn't be here. And she has this weird condition. I don't remember what it is or what the frick happens, but you can't trust. It's like, what's that trope? Something narrator, where you can't trust a narrator because she'll tell all this and she's like, wait, did that actually happen? And you're like, I don't know, babe. I am just reading what you tell me. The whole time you're like, babe, get out of the car. Roll yourself out on the interstate because he's gonna kill you. They come up to a toll and you're like, okay, perfect. She's gonna jump out. She's gonna jump out of this toll. So she's like hyping herself up, getting ready. As she's going to do it, he says this really weird, creepy thing that like he shouldn't know. I don't even remember what he says, but he says something that grabs her attention and she's literally like, huh? And stays in the car because she wants to find out what he meant by that. And I was like, that's where it lost me. I was like, no teenage girl, she was like 19, in college, no teenage girl would have stayed in that car. I am so sorry, would not have happened. But then there's like really big twist at the end, and I really want to tell you, but I won't. But it was still a good read. Okay, Last Time I Lied, didn't like this book. I'm gonna try and break it down the best I can, because I kind of remember. This girl goes to summer camp, a girl gets murdered. Either one girl gets murdered, or all the girls get murdered. It's like the mean girls at camp take her in, and they get murdered. She doesn't though. So, 10 years later, we don't know what happened to her, or like, who killed her. 10 years later, she comes back as a camp counselor and she's seeing the same vibes, getting deja vu. It's like the popular girls are being weird and then they go missing and she's like, oh my god, I literally think I've seen this film before. The girls going missing, it feels so unrelated to the literal plot of the original girls. Like, why did it happen again? I don't know. I still don't know. And you find out in literally the last like 10 pages who killed the original girls and you're like, oh, that kind of ate. And that's the only reason the book like gained a star for me on who killed the original girls. And you're like, damn! But then the rest of the book I didn't like. I only pulled this to pretend this is the original one, not the second one. This is, I'll put a picture immediately over it. This is just The Housemaid. Because my mom's reading the original ones downstairs. Literally so good. Hold on. Girl gets out of prison, so she's having a hard time keeping a job. So she gets a live-in nanny position at this really rich house. It's a mom and dad, like young mom and dad with a little girl. So she moves in and she has to stay in this sketch attic. And she finds out it locks only from the outside. And she's like, that feels weird. But she can't do anything about it because it's literally the only job she can get because she is a convict. So then the wife is insane, literally insane. She'll be like, she'll tell her to go do something, or like that she doesn't have to go do this or that, and then she'll call her later and be like, why the fuck didn't you do this? And she's like, because you told me not to. And she's like, no, I didn't. You're a big fat liar. Big fat stupid liar. The husband is like very normal. The daughter's like a big fat brat. Husband's normal, hot. She like sparks a kinship with him because they're the only two normal people in the house. And then they start having an affair and the wife like kind of finds out and leaves clues that she knows. So it's very like scary. And then halfway through, huge twist happens. And you're like, whoa, whoa. Like, probably could have seen it coming. I just wasn't thinking that far ahead, honestly. I was just along for the ride. But insane. Absolutely love The Housemaid. Riley Sager again, Final Girls. This book confuses the shit out of me. So it's all of these different groups that have nothing to do with each other other than it's like a group of 6, group of 5, group of 4. They were all murdered. Completely nothing to do with each other except the fact that one girl lived from each. So they're called the Final Girls. It's like a club, the Final Girls Club, and the news are talking about them, like they're trying to do a story on them. And so they all kind of like band together, but then like they start dying, and so they're being targeted as these Final Girls, and that is all I've got. Oh my god, are we in the last little bit? Oh, we're so close, guys. Keep pushing through. No Exit. I've literally talked about this so many times before, and I love this book. My mom actually just read this. Girl goes home for Christmas break, gets stuck in a blizzard, and has to pull over at a rest stop. So everyone there is stuck. It's like her and like 5 other people, all ages, whatever. And so they're all just banding together to wait out the storm. She goes outside to try and find cell service and looks in the back of this truck, and there's a little girl in a cage. So she has to try and figure out which of the people in the rest stop are literal crazy psycho murderers. And she's like trying not to alert anyone because she doesn't want it to go downhill, obviously. So it's very good. Home Before Dark. Think the show Haunting of Hill House in a book. More so than the literal book Haunting of Hill House. Like, it's told from the perspective of this daughter who grew up in a haunted house and her dad wrote a story on it. Like, and they're making money off of this book that he wrote. And she, the whole time, is like, it's literally all a lie. Like, none of it was haunted. And my dad's a big fat phony liar, I think. It was actually very scary. Like, things were happening in the middle of the night. All of this weird shit was happening. And so she was now, I think her dad just died. Like, her family's dead, so now the house belongs to her. So she's going back to either sell it or fix it up or whatever, and weird things start happening again. She's like, oh shit, maybe it is haunted. Then, like, you find out what's happening. Like, what actually is happening. Probably one of my favorite Riley Sager books. Overnight Guest. This is mush in my brain. All I remember is a woman's at a cabin during a snowstorm, and she sees a little kid out in the snow and has to help it. And there's weird things happen. Little Secrets. This is another one that I really, really liked, but I don't really remember the ending. I remember who it was, but not like the details. But this woman and her son were at a Christmas market, like very crowded Christmas market type of thing. She gets a call from one of her like besties, like a guy, like her best guy friend, I think. And so she's talking to him on the phone. The little boy's like annoying her, and she's like, Lily, I'm on the phone. And she turns around, still talking to the guy, and son is absolutely gone, without a trace, gone. So she's freaking out, obviously, as a mother would, and goes to security, and they look at the cameras, and you literally can see a man taking him away. So her son gets kidnapped, and the whole book is her trying to find her son, and like if he's still alive and whatnot, and finding out who's behind it. Okay, then Icebreaker on my Kindle. Love this book. A girl figure ice skater or whatever for this college, and the guy is a hockey player for this college, and he and his friends like do something to make a rival hockey team retaliate. Like they fuck with them. So the rival hockey team retaliates and trashes their hockey stadium, like absolutely trashes it. They have to now practice where the figure skaters practice, and the figure skaters like, oh fuck no, like literally screw y'all. It's not all, why do we have to deal with it? And then the main guy and the main girl fall in love. Basically, it's very good though. Last one. Oh my god, we're finally done. And I'm never talking about these books ever again. This girl, Miss Ma'am, has a Christmas tree farm, and it's like kind of going down the drain. And this is her guy best friend. They are not together regardless of the cover. And she enters a contest that this like social media person put out there, like, if your Christmas tree farm is the best Christmas tree farm, I'll give you money, kind of thing. So she calls or like enters and says that her and her boyfriend run this Christmas tree farm to make the story like perfect. She doesn't have a boyfriend. So she makes him pretend to be her boyfriend, and it's fake dating for when this bitch comes to look at their farm. And then of course they fall in love. Of course. That's the whole thing. I didn't really like it. But anyways, that is it. Oh! If this video makes it on the internet, it is a great day. Literally the purpose of this was just for me to see like if I'm grasping books that I'm reading, which I think I do a decent job. It's just like the thrillers and stuff that really get me. And a lot of the romances that have the same tropes kind of run in my mind, but I feel like that happens to everyone. And if it doesn't happen to you, what are your secrets? Because I cannot remember these books for the life of me. And it worries me that like books that I'm reading right now, especially fantasy books that have a lot of detail, I'm like, in 2 years, am I going to forget them? And it makes me upset thinking about that. Oh, but that's it. If you made it to the end, congrats. You literally deserve an award because I almost didn't make it to the end. So, but thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.